One problem with American politics mainly is I think the problem lies with the fact that it's more of an authoritarian mentality that you have only two choices. The two-party system is a little bit different in the United Kingdom or Great Britain, where it's more. I think the population is more educated, or they have more focus on education. And so in United Kingdom, you usually have more of a respectful resolution, but I still think the two-party system is flawed, and that really shows in American politics in case of this modern era, where it's more about winning and not so much about trying to win on ideas. So you can, I mean, in a sense, you can have a guy who could be a mass murderer, be a Democrat or Republican, and they would just vote in him if it's trying to own, the opposition. You see what I mean here? So I think being in the wrong is not set in stone for everybody. So I think you can be wrong, and that's the thing with knowledge is once you know more, you kind of start to reevaluate your position in lots of things. So people will try to push you or try to force you to think one way, or you are just you just are what's it called, um, a crypto leftist or right winger. I think that's what they call. Because you don't think like them in a sense. And that's also the flaw of two-party system, because they force you to think a certain way instead of looking for actual uh, honest solutions. Which is the problem is United States really could benefit more from the multi-party system in context to having individual parties that you actually ideologically agree with, rather than having just two parties, the two behemoth parties that just force you and strangles the individuals who live there in a sense to think a certain way, and it just rewards chaotic forces. I mean, that's kind of what American politics is, I guess. But the problem is that you have generation after generation who just gonna beat each other up for absolutely stupid reasons, and that's a system that rewards it. And that's the problem. I mean, you're not gonna fix it with just applying communism or socialism, authoritarian ideologies, which is what left wingers in a country try to exploit in a sense because of the faulty system. Because it's the two-part system that is the garbage system in a sense. And then you have right wingers who go too far too, where they, where I mean, basically, I think people who are sympathetic towards slave owners or Confederates and such, I don't get it. Like it's just, I have done research on Robert Lee, the guy who was the leader of Confederates too, and basically my summary of him is he tried to perceive as a good guy on the surface level, but he was not really that much of a legit good guy in reality. That's all I can comment on that one. And I've really researched this in terms of letters and even from the South themselves. But yeah, my point is, it's mainly due to the system itself that it kind of stagnates in a sense. It doesn't really help the society. So basically, the main difference between United Kingdom and United States, the only difference is the cultural level of the two-party system, where United Kingdom is way more on education, and United States is way more on the Wild Wild West mentality. We're just about trying to humiliate the other side and just push them to the limit and just try to kind of destroy them in a sense, rather than actually try to win over logical ideas. That's the problem with the two-party system. I mean, the only reason why I supported Trump is because I kind of think the left wingers kind of deserved it because of the whole rednecks are inbred and stuff. The whole joke about the South, and they just seemed very pitiful, and that's why I did it. But the thing is, I don't think you should do this in the long run. I just think it was an important message back then. But if you really understand the system, you kind of see that violence or hate just doesn't really help anyone. It just pushes people away. It's really better to just have parties that you individually agree with and just try to argue it in a logical manner instead of trying to bully each other. And that's really the problem with the system and the mentality that people have, of this massive hatred. It's just, I mean, this is kind of what authoritarians want instead. They don't want people to actually think for themselves. They just want to try to push people towards one ultimate goal, and that's really either far right or far left, and that's really the system that USA seem to benefit from, at least the top parties in that country. So honestly, if I was American, I would just not vote of either Republicans or Democrats. I would actually encourage them not to vote in terms of the system and just boycott the system itself because it's not helping anyone. I mean, at least try to vote for a Green Party or something. At least that one seems more legit in terms of trying to have alternatives in terms of. But I will honestly just try to avoid the big party system thing. I would just try to reform it to have individual parties of multi-party system, and just try to avoid the whole behemoth party, the two-party system. I think that's really what's suffering. Uh, the whole voting system is the method that they use. But yeah, that's just all I want to say. I just want to end it with opinions is not interchangeable. If you are wrong, then you are wrong, and if you are right, then or at least if you think you're right and you are consistent, then you are not a hypocrite. You're only a hypocrite if you don't mean anything you say. But if you are wrong, then that's another thing. So basically, values aren't set in stone for everybody. It's just the system is very manipulated, and that's the problem. Yeah. Thank you for listening to this video, and bye.